Here we are, another day in the workshop, and I've got something I want to talk about. Let's set the scene here. Let's set a nice scene. Now, you love your bike. I love my bike, and I bet you love your bike too. Picture this. You're on your bike, it's a great day, the sun's shining, you've got a great twisty road in front of you, and it's, you just got everything going. You're just like, leaning this way, leaning that way, the road's just going beautifully, the bike's responding perfectly between your legs. You're having a great day, you're loving it. And you've just ridden this road, and you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? You've just ridden this fantastic road, and your mind's just blown, and you're just falling in love with your bike all over again. You're just buzzing from it. So you're very proud of yourself, you're proud of your bike, you love your bike. You pull in, and you find a sweet little coffee shop, and you find a cheeky space right outside the coffee shop, so you can then grab your cappuccino or your caramel latte. You sit outside with a slice of cake, feet up, admiring your bike, watching other people admire your bike as well. Life is good. Life is great. You're sitting there looking at your bike thinking, oh, I love my bike. Anyway, you had your coffee and you're thinking, well, it's now time to hop back on the bike. You've got about a 20-minute ride home, so, you know, back to normal life, really. So you jump back on your bike and you're riding along, and then all of a sudden, some stupid pulls right out on you. You did a really good job to try and avoid a really bad collision, but it still knocked you off your bike, and your beautiful pride and joy is sat there lying on the road. It's devastating, isn't it? It's happened to me a few times now. It's devastating. And you think to yourself, right, okay, don't worry, I've got my GoPro. But then you suddenly realise your GoPro wasn't switched on. Because your GoPro is an action camera. Your GoPro is that camera that you put on, you stick on your helmet, you put it on your bike, you switch it on when you're about to ride that road that you know is going to be a really cool road, and you're going to look great on camera. But you're just riding home, you're just commuting to work, you're just doing your everyday run, nothing interesting happening, you're just getting from A to B. Why would you honestly stick your GoPro on? You can see what's happened, a car's pulled out on you, he's making it as your fault, you've got no evidence at all. I cannot stress to you how important it is to have a dash cam fitted to your bike. Now, I've come off a couple of times. I'll show you a clip actually of where I did have my action camera rolling. I had a drift camera on my helmet, and I did actually have it turned on. So have a look at this clip here. Now that was completely my fault. You know, the bend wasn't even tight. I wasn't even riding especially fast. My friend was riding behind, because you'd hear his bike in the background as he turns his bike around to come back for me. But we actually slowed down because the scenery was so beautiful, and we're taking all the scenery in, and before I knew it, I was looking up, and all I could see was this ditch at the side of the road, and that was up in the Spanish Picos, that was up in the mountains in Spain. So but then I had another time where I came off, which I got no video evidence whatsoever. I've got some photographs, and this was earlier this year in Budapest. The bike's only just come back from having £6,500 worth of repairs done to it. Now, the driver did admit liability, but she could have told a whole different story. So I'm quite lucky there. I didn't have any dash cam on my bike, but now I'm ready. Now, okay, fair enough, it might not happen again, but every time I turn my bike on, this sucker just starts recording at the front. Can you see it there? And I've got one at the back. So it's all installed. So I feel very happy now. And I'll tell you what, one of the things I've noticed, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm actually riding a little bit slower. Well, I'm riding within the speed limit, because maybe I'm just a bit worried that if the plod pull me over, they can look back at this footage and see how fast I was going, because it can record your speed. But you can program it to not record your speed, so you can take that off the screen if you so wish to. But I don't mind, because I don't speed. So yeah, so I'm not going to show you how to actually install this. I'm just going to do a very quick unboxing. So I've got these in stock. I've got loads in the stock. I've installed a couple of them already. Here it is. Now, you've probably already heard about the InOff K2. You've probably already seen the reviews on them on YouTube. You've probably already got one on your bike. Well done you if you have. So I wasn't supposed to sound sarcastic. Let me show you the cameras actually on my bike. So that's where I've mounted it on my bike. But there's various options and various fitting kits that come in the kit where you can mount it. If I go to the rear of the bike, and you can see it there. So I've actually mounted it, I've drilled a hole straight through the bar, which a lot of you will probably think that's absolutely crazy of me to do that. But I don't use a top box, and so I don't mind it being there. It's absolutely fine. Other options to mount it would be just here, and where you have the camera sitting in between the license plate and the indicator. You wouldn't mount it to the indicator because it moves too much. Let's also show you how I've installed it on the bike. So if I take my seat off, and I'll show you. So you can see there's the DVR unit just here, and as soon as I power the ignition up, it just turns on. This on-off button, it's not needed because it comes on straight away. I'm actually a little bit confused why they have the on-off button on there, but when you test it using USB, you can turn it on and off, I guess, using that button. So you can see I've got the DVR there. I've mounted the power module further forward because it's got to be a certain distance away from the DVR, and then the GPS, because this baby's got GPS on it, I've mounted up here, avoiding all so I can still access the screws on top of here. But it's just on sticky 3M tape. But that has ideally got to be mounted outside of the bike, not under the seat, outside of the bike, and a good distance away from the DVR unit. Hence again, I don't know why, but I may as well just follow the instructions accurately. So basically, to connect to the DVR, you go into your Wi-Fi settings on your phone, and as long as your bike is turned on and the DVR is turned on, you'll see it's got its own Wi-Fi. So you go to, I've renamed mine to a bike thing, but it just comes out the box as InOff K2 and then a number. So I've renamed mine. So you click on the Wi-Fi. Then once that's connected, there we are, we're connected. I can now go to my app and open it up, and so this is basically what you get. Now I did some riding on this yesterday, but if I just open up the camera view right now, you can see the back of my workshop there, and then if I go to the F&R at the top, that basically says this is a front camera with the rear on there as well. But if I want to, I can just go and look at the rear, and that'll show me my garage door, back to F&R, which I quite like. So we come out of there, and you go to settings, and you've got all your little different settings on here. So obviously there's my Wi-Fi password name, which I've changed to a bike thing. My password, resolution settings, you can change that. Obviously it's 1080p front and rear. You can take it down to 720, is it? 720, yeah, for front and rear if you want to, but I've left it as 1080p. Loop video 10 minutes, you can turn that off, 1 minute, 3 minutes. So you've got all these variables on here. You've even got a time lapse setting on here. All the rest is quite self-explanatory. It's a very intuitive app, so you can set your speed to miles per hour or kilometers, whatever you want. So I've got mine miles per hour. Front mirror, rear mirror, I don't quite know what that means yet. I need to ask some advice on that one. Parking mode I've got turned off at the moment. Audio, do you want to pick, the DVR's got its own little speaker, sorry, its own little microphone on it under the seat, so it will pick up audio if you want to. Show speed, not show speed, it will depend if you get picked up by the law. So right, so if I come back out of there and I go to document, this is the area that we're looking at. So files in camera, files in device. So the camera, that is what we're going for. The camera being the camera on the bike. And you've got all your continuous recordings. Now if you look at all these date stamps, it's just continuous. So if you look at them all, you've got, at the end of each one, you've got either an R or an F, rear or front. But if you want to, you can go to F and just look at the front camera footage, or you can just go to the rear and look at the rear camera footage. So if I look at the last thing I did, well obviously you can see in the thumbnails it's basically what's going on in here. But if I go down to the one down here where you can see a bit of blue sky, and if you look at the date, it does actually show yesterday's date and time on there. So I can either download it to my device, being my camera phone, my iPhone, or I can just play it online to stream. And as soon as I pop this on, there we go. That's the footage that I'm getting from it. And it's showing my speed on there. That's really good footage actually. I haven't seen this yet. So that's me riding back yesterday after doing some filming on a nearby road. Now the reason it's gone like that, that's not the camera, that is the connection to the Wi-Fi. So I think you'd agree it's pretty good footage. So we come back out of there, and if I look at the rear, so that's front, that one's front, so I'll just click on just the rear only, and where are we? If I just do that one there, and now we can see the quality of the rear camera. Looks like I'm going backwards. That's actually the same piece of video you've just seen. That's the same bit of road, but you're seeing it from the rear camera now. And obviously you can hear, I don't know whether you can hear the sound or not coming through. I'm not 100% sure. Right, so, and then anything you save that you download obviously goes then onto your files in your device. I've got nothing in there at all. So if something happened where you had an accident, or you witnessed, your dash cam witnessed an incident, you can literally just pull over, leave your bike turned on, access the Wi-Fi, locate that file by doing what we just did, and then save it, download it to your device, so it's then on your phone. So it's a pretty nifty bit of kit. I'm very impressed with it all. This is what you get in the box. Little support card from In of themselves. And just to let you know that I am actually now officially an InOff K2 installation specialist. I think they've got me listed down as an InOff installation specialist for all their products, but it's only the K2 that I have some experience installing. So it comes in very nice packaging, as you can see, and you've probably, like I say, seen other videos on YouTube showing all this. So if I'm going to take that very carefully, because this is obviously going to go to some lucky customer who's going to buy this, so I don't want it to be deemed as used, because it's not at all. Okay, so you get two cameras. They're both identical cameras. The only difference, they're identical as in sense the lens, the actual camera housing, but one's got a longer lead, well, the other one's got a shorter lead. You decide which one you want to stick where, and that's all based on where you put the DVR, which one needs more lead. So I've put the one with the longer lead on the front of the bike because the lead's got further to go under the tank. And under the seat, whereas the rear light hasn't got as far to go to the DVR because it's already at the back of the bike. Then you get the DVR unit itself. And it's worthy to know, if you haven't seen one of these yet, we're talking like iPhone quality. Like, I remember the iPhone 5. It's reminding me a bit of the iPhone 5. So it's very, very good quality. It's no cheap rubbish here. Really isn't. It's a shame to stick it under the seat, really. And then there's your GPS tracker there. Right, also in the box, you get a DC converter. This is the item which you wire directly up to your battery. I'm just going to pull this out and show you what actually comes in the kit. So there it is there. When it's all wired up, that little LED there lights up blue. But you've got 4 wires coming from it. The big black wire there goes to the DVR. Now, you've got special connections on here, so you can't really get them mixed up. The thinner black wire, which has got nothing attached to the end of it at all, that goes to the negative terminal on the battery, or a ground, anywhere ground on the bike. The red one, which is fused, that goes to the positive terminal on your battery. And the yellow one, this goes to a switched live. So on my bike, I've wired it to my run lights for my brake, on my brake light. So as soon as you turn the ignition on, your rear light comes on, doesn't it? So I've used a posi tap and spliced that into the the power which supplies my rear light. A lot of people have actually asked me, I've had a lot of questions on this, can I actually connect the yellow wire to my CanSmart? And the answer is yes, you can, and I've done it myself to a customer's bike. I am sorry I didn't record that, but he's very, very pleased. And I've also had another customer pop by actually only yesterday to pick up a piece of wire. So in other words, a spare harness, because he's got a spare circuit on his Gen 1 CanSmart, but he's lost his spare harness. So he's asked me, can I provide him a harness which he can then cut in half, or cut a piece off, and then just pull out the live from that connection to wire it up to the yellow wire coming from this DC converter. And then he goes into his CanSmart settings and says it's not light circuit 2, this is now a circuit to be used for an accessory. And it only needs 1 amp anyway, so it's not even that. So it's a tiny amount of draw. So yes, you can, because as soon as you power on the ignition on your bike, your CanSmart powers up, doesn't it? So by wiring up to your CanSmart, if you don't want to touch any of the wires on your BMW harness, I fully understand that. If you've got a CanSmart, you can tap into a spare wire there, or you could tap into one of the wires that's currently going to your lights. But if you don't forget, if you turn your lights off or depower your CanSmart, you're depowering the dash cam as well. So the yellow wire won't have any power going through it. Right, so that's that explained. And then inside this box you get this really cool little USB converter, so you can basically put your SD card in there and put that straight into your computer. I don't use mine, but it's handy. You can put it on your keyring as well if you really want to. I've got an SD card reader already on the side of my Mac. You then got sticky pads and tiny little grub screws to secure the plugs, these plugs here, into the side of your DVR. A bit like those old serial cables you got on the backs of computers. And then in here, I knew there's two. These are 2 identical bags. They've both got exactly the same contents inside them, and this is all the various ways of mounting the cameras to your bike. But you don't have to use these. But I would advise you use use the actual clamp which goes around the light. But at the end of the day, you can be as creative as you want with the installation. You get a little sticker in here, and then most importantly, you get instructions. Now, I've already spoken to one customer who has not read the instructions, so I really, really strongly recommend you read the instructions. Now, there are a few things that I've figured out already about this. So if you buy the kit from me, which I hope you do, if you want it, please click on the link down below, take you straight through. I give 2 different options of SD card, because you have to buy an SD card. So the SD cards that I supply are 128 and 256. Now I've put a 256 gigabyte SD card inside my DVR. It goes in a slot in the side. Now it says on the instructions that the bike likes the card to be formatted in FAT32. Now obviously a 256 or 128 gigabyte hard drive are automatically, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure, to my knowledge, they're automatically formatted in exFAT, not FAT32. So don't try and be wise by putting that into your computer and then formatting it to FAT32 before you put it in the DVR. That's what I did. Big mistake. It doesn't say not to do that on the instructions, but I just thought, I'm sat here in the warmth of my home, I'll do the formatting now. I've formatted God knows how many SD cards in my time. So don't do that, because as soon as you put it in and you try and access the DVR through the app, it automatically just rejects it. Well, it rejected me anyway, so it wouldn't let me access any of the settings whatsoever. So what you need to do is make sure you do it. The first thing you do is format it, but format it inside the DVR through the app. Now the concerning thing is when you do that, you'll be also prompted to download the latest firmware by Innov, and you have to do that by taking the SD card out of the DVR, taking that to your computer, putting that into an SD card reader, and then downloading the firmware via a link on the Innov website. It's called like k2.bin, and then you put that file on the SD card, on the root folder. It shows you, it's very easy, very simple and easy to do. You then put the SD card back inside your DVR, and it runs through a sequence of where you about 45 seconds, and you see rapid flashing, or like a red light flashing. Once that rapid flashing finishes after 45 seconds, then you know the DVR is updated with the latest firmware. Now if you don't update the firmware, you'll have problems with the menus and the way how the files are stored. So I was experiencing that myself. So I saw all my clips, front and rear camera, all the way down on the all section. But then if I said I wanted to only view front only, it wouldn't do it for me. So I couldn't view it. So by updating my firmware, all those little bugs disappeared. So I highly recommend you do that. However, so you make sure you leave it as it is, exFAT, you format it in the DVR as the app suggests you do. You then take it back out again, download the new updated firmware on your SD card in your computer. But because mine didn't work first time, I kept on, obviously because I mentioned I formatted it first in my computer and vice versa. I was having a lot of problems with it. It took me hours to get it sorted. So I really I beg you to do this the right way around, otherwise you'd be pulling your hair out. So one of the things I did, because I formatted it in the DVR through the app, and it leads you to believe that you've now formatted it in FAT32. So when I went to my computer and got the info on the SD card, expecting to see it saying FAT32, it still said it was formatted exFAT. That's okay apparently. So so just let the DVR do its thing, let it format it. The instructions are telling you it's formatting it to FAT32, but when you plug it into your computer and check that, for me it said it was still exFAT. So I left it like that because I did change it back again. Every time I formatted it back to FAT32 on my computer, so I could see on the info this is formatted in FAT32. Every time I put it back in my DVR, it wouldn't work. So just trust the fact that however it's formatting in your DVR, it's doing a good job. All right, and then you can download the firmware, put that on your SD card. I know the computer's saying it's in exFAT, just ignore that, and then just put the SD card back in the DVR, power it up, and it'll all update perfectly for you. All right, so it sounds like a bit of a nightmare, but it's worth it, because once it's all set up, well, then it's all set up. All right. I hope I haven't put you off it at all. If anyone wants to see an install on this, because I do install these. I've installed a couple of bikes already. I had a beautiful RT in the other day, lovely red RT, which he had a load of Denali lights, and he opted to have the dash cam fitted as well. So that was all good fun. I can't see, well, if you wanted one of these installed, you're more than welcome to come here. I'll install it for you. You pay the full price on the website for the kit, and then I would charge you £60 to actually install it, which from what I'm hearing is quite expensive for an actual install. If I'm honest, I need to charge you more than that, because it's still going to take a good hour to actually install it. So what I tend to be doing, customers are coming here, spending money on actually having all the Denali lights fitted, the sound bomb, a nice bundle for their bike, and then I charge an extra £20 to install the dash cam. I don't mind doing that, because the bike's already up on the ramp and it's already stripped down. So by putting the dash cam on there, it's not killing me. So if you do want one of these dash cams, obviously you can buy it, install it yourself. Or if you're considering on buying one of the D7 bundles or the D4 bundles, or just any Denali bundle for your bike, and you want me to install it for you, and you're going to come here to my home in Daventry and drink my delicious coffee, then I will literally only charge you £20 to install this, because you're already spending money with me and we're already putting all that stuff on your bike. Right, I really hope this video has been useful to you. If you've enjoyed it, can you please give me a thumbs up, a like, leave a comment, and even more importantly, can you subscribe if you haven't already? It doesn't take a lot, just hit that subscribe button and then click on the little bell notification so you don't miss my next video, because the next one coming to you should be all about my new soft bags and why I've gone from hard case panniers to soft bags. All right, see you in the next videos, guys. Ride safe, keep rubber side down.